Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the Key on Millions.co. We also have merchandise on Millions.co. Here's my profile first so that you will know it's me. Here is my media feed for all of my different segments, clips, and sound bites from previous shows. And here is my merchandise. Now, we are going to be rolling out some new merchandise. We will also be working on some merchandise today as of at the end of this show. We will be rolling out new merchandise at the end of this month and for the rest of the year. So, everybody, I just gave you all a little tutorial on how Millions.co is worked. So now let's get into the topic at hand. I have another remaining season outlook for an NBA team, and it is the Phoenix Suns. Now the Phoenix Suns, they are the number 7 team in the Western Conference right now. We all know that the Phoenix Suns over the last few years has been up and down, but they have pretty much been on the downside of things. Now they went through, I believe, 3 coaches within the last 10 years, and their current coach is Jordan Oat. So Jordan Oat, he is doing pretty good in his first season. He is 32-23. Now let me get to the roster for the Phoenix Suns. So the roster for the Phoenix Suns 2025-26 season roster, you have Grayson Allen, Cole Anthony, Devin Booker, Jamari Baua, Kobe Brea, Dylan Brooks, Amir Coffey, Ryan Dunn, Rasheer Fleming, Colin Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin, Jalen Green, Ozo Arjiwaro, Isaiah Livers, Kaman Mullah, Royce O'Neal, and Mark Williams. And like I said a few seconds ago, the head coach is Jordan Alt. Now, the statistics for the Phoenix Suns this season have been pretty much the same. We all know that Devin Booker, he leads the Phoenix Suns. He has been with the Phoenix Suns for almost, I'm going to say 10 years now. So Devin Booker, 25.2 points per game. Dylan Brooks, 21.2. Grayson Allen, 17 points. C. Gillespie, 13.3. M. Williams, 12.1. Jalen Green, 11.1. R. O'Neal, 10.3. Jay Goodwin, 8.8. Amir Coffey, 7.5. Jay Abua, 6.9. Ryan Dunn, 6 points. O. R.G. Darrow, 5.5. K. Brea, 3.3 points. N. Richards, 3.2. R. Fleming, 2.6. Isaiah Livers, 2.2. K. Malak, 1.3. And N. Hayes Davis, 1.3. So that is the player statistics. Here are the shooting statistics for the Phoenix Suns. And I'm just going to give everybody about 5 to 10 seconds to read all of their statistics to see just how, I'm going to say just how decent the Phoenix Suns are, because I'm not going to say that they are a good team, and I'm not going to say that they are a bad team. I'm just going to say that they are a moderate good team, middle of the pack. They are 9 games above 500 right now going into the All-Star break. All-Star weekend starts tomorrow night, so it is pretty much the All-Star break for most of these teams. There are only 3 games that are on the schedule for tonight in the NBA, And the Phoenix Suns, they aren't one of those teams that will be playing. So the thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the Phoenix Suns is matchups. Matchups, and as far as when it comes to their centers. Now, they only have two centers on their roster. You have a bunch of guards, forwards, no power forwards, no point guards. See, this is where deficiency comes in at, because you always need a player that's ball dominant, a point guard that can bring the ball down the floor. Now, we all know that as far as draft positioning for the Phoenix Suns, they have a tough road ahead. They don't have draft picks of their own until 2030. And here it is. We are almost at the middle part of the second month of 2026. So they are going to have a tough road, a tough future down the road, because you can't really build within the draft. If you're the Phoenix Suns, you have to bring guys in from free agency, try and build a team that way, and build charisma and try and build cohesiveness through those players. Now, we already saw in the past with Kevin Durant, that didn't work. We saw in the past with Bradley Beal, that didn't work. Bradley Beal is with the Clippers. Now one thing I'm going to say is you brought in Jalen Green. Now, Jalen Green, he's 24. Still young. But Matt Ishbia, and for those of you who don't know who Matt Ishbia is, he is the Phoenix Suns owner. Matt Ishbia, he has been the owner of the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to say not that long, only 3 years, so he should know what all it takes to build a team. He should, as of now, because they pretty much the Kevin Durant trade, it pretty much messed up the Phoenix Suns for the rest of this decade. For the rest of this decade, that trade with Kevin Durant, it messed them up, and they cannot have a organizational reset until 2030. That's why I always say, when it comes to those draft picks, they don't have ownership of those draft picks. Now, I'm pretty sure some people are saying, what is ownership of a draft pick? Meaning that an NBA team going into every draft, they have draft capital, draft compensation. The Phoenix Suns, they don't have draft compensation, and they don't have draft capital. That is why over the last couple of years, any big-time free agent that hits the market, you always hear the Phoenix Suns are in talks with this player or that player. And that's exactly how it's going to be again this coming year. As far as your big three for the Phoenix Suns, you have Devin Booker. Jalen Green is a possible number two. And their top three scorers, I'm going to go back to their statistics. Their top three scorers, Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks, and we all know Dillon Brooks, he is just strictly there for his defense, but he is starting to expand his offensive arsenal, so congratulations to him. And Grayson Allen. Now, Grayson Allen, he's always been a three-point shooter. He was a three-point shooter at Duke. He was a three-point shooter in high school. He was a three-point shooter in middle school. So his time coming up in the ranks, Grayson Allen, he's always been a three-point shooter. So he is hit and miss most nights. Now, last night, if anybody watched the Clippers and Suns game, he was a miss last night. So now we get to statistics as far as for the overall team, and then I'm going to get into the schedule. Now the statistics for the players that are at the bottom of the roster, those are the guys that get 5 to 10 minutes. worth of playing time. That's if the game is a blowout. But now, last night, Suns were no match for the Clippers last night. And when it comes to, well, excuse me, they didn't play the Clippers. The Suns played the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I've always been saying, when it comes to the Thunder, I believe the Thunder, the only problem that the Thunder have is the San Antonio Spurs, because everybody else, they could pretty much put them to bed without any problem. They can. Now, one thing about the depth of the Phoenix Suns is, for starters, you have Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Royce O'Neal, and Mark Williams. And then here is their second unit, third unit, fourth unit, and fifth unit. Dylan Brooks, he is currently suspended, so that's pretty much going to take a hit to their lineup. But I'm going to get to the schedule now. So this is the Phoenix Suns schedule. This is how their season has started. First half of the season. First night of the NBA season, you win over Sacramento, and then you lose 4 straight. Then we get to late December, early January. So maybe in the past month. I'm just going to go back to the past month. So in January, started off January with Sacramento. You beat Oklahoma. You lose versus Houston. Then you beat Memphis. Phoenix beats Memphis. Then Phoenix beats New York. Then we get to January 17th. Phoenix beats New York again in New York. Then we get to late January, where Phoenix, they beat Brooklyn, which is not a competition. They beat Detroit. They beat Cleveland. Portland, not competition. You lose versus Golden State. You lose versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And last night, you lose versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, Oklahoma City Thunder, I just said this a few seconds ago. Oklahoma City, they don't have no problem with anybody in the West. No problem. Except the San Antonio Spurs. I think the Thunder and the Spurs will be playing in the Western Conference Finals. I do. If not the Western Conference Finals, I know in the conference semifinals. I can say that. But as far as right now, as it's currently constructed, if the Phoenix Suns were able to make it to they're already going to make it into the play-in tournament. So Phoenix Suns, they're already in the play-in tournament. Let's just say, I'm just going to give y'all a potential first-round playoff matchup. Phoenix Suns, they would be facing the San Antonio Spurs or the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Denver Nuggets in the first round. America, do you have any confidence that the Phoenix Suns would be able to win any one of those series against the Thunder, against the Spurs, or against the Nuggets? I don't think so, because the Spurs, Thunder, and the Nuggets, they all have the same thing in common. They have multiple guys that they can put in the paint and defend. The Suns, they don't have that. They only have maybe 3 guys that you can put them in the paint and defend the rim and have their hands up. So that is a deficiency that the Phoenix Suns have. And when I look back at their history, Phoenix Suns, they've never been a team that is top-notch in defense. Never. Which leads to my next point as far as from a historical reference. Now, Phoenix Suns, they started off as a team back in 1968. Their first official season was 68-69. They started out as one of the worst teams in the NBA, and historically, Phoenix Suns are still one of the worst teams in the NBA. Hell, they are worse than the Clippers, and the Clippers, they really don't set the bar very high. The Suns, they really don't set the bar very high as far as when it comes to mediocrity and pretty much franchise obscurity. So before I get into all of that, 68-69 was the Suns' first season. They started out cold. They ended up 16-66. Then you get to the 70s, and the 70s really started looking up, around 75, 76. They went to the conference finals but lost the NBA finals to the Celtics, because we all know that in the 70s it was pretty much either the Boston Celtics or it was nobody else. Now we get to the late 70s, and with the Phoenix Suns, it was pretty much they would win the first round of the playoffs and then have an exit in the second round. You can see that. When it comes to in the 80s, Phoenix Suns, they win the first round and lose in the second round. Also, when it comes to the late 90s, it was still the same exact thing when it comes to the Phoenix Suns. You win in the first round, you win in the conference semifinals, and then you lose in the conference finals. And they did that a lot of times. So then we get to the we get to 92 and 93. The very first time the Phoenix Suns made it to the NBA Finals. And we already know who won that finals between the Bulls and the Suns. That was when Michael Jordan was in his prime. But I just want to get past the 90s right now, because from 93, 94, 95, 96, and for the rest of the 90s, it was just first round exits for the Phoenix Suns. And then we start off with the early 2000s. Early 2000s, Phoenix Suns, they get whooped by the Sacramento Kings. 2002 season, they didn't make it to the playoffs. 2003 season, you make it, you get knocked out by the San Antonio Spurs. This all correlates to what I'm about to say. I'm going to bring it back to present day for you. 2003, you had a bad season. 2005, it was pretty much, the same exact thing. First round win, then a second round exit. First round win in 2005, then a second round exit in 2006. 2007, first round win, you lose in the conference semifinals to the Spurs. 2008, you lose to the Spurs in the first round. 2009, you didn't get anywhere. 2010, you win versus the Trailblazers in the first round, but you lose in the conference finals to the Lakers. And then you go on I'm pretty sure you are going to go on a 10-year stretch where you don't make the playoffs. So in those 10 years, you had a revolving door. When it comes to the head coach, you had Alvin Gentry, Lindsey Hunter, Jeff Hornacek, Earl Watson, Jay Traino, Edgar Costavio. And then we get to 2019. Now, 2019, you had Monty Williams, and I just want to say something to America right now. The Phoenix Suns, they did Monty Williams wrong. But like I said, we all know Monty Williams, he is a black coach, and we all understand how the NBA looks at certain black coaches. But I'm not going to get into that, because I am not going to make this about race, but we already know that when it comes to black coaches in any sport, we all know that they always have 3 strikes against them already. You get a short leash. You get only 1 to 3 years to pretty much make the team better, improve the team. Second strike is you not going to have much time to get that team together. Third strike is they not going to give you as many resources as they give a white coach. And that is those are the 3 strikes that every black coach have against them, no matter what league you are coaching, no matter what sports team you are coaching. Resources, owner says, we're not going to give you much time. We're only going to give you a 3-4 year contract. And we're not going to give you as many resources. That is exactly why I say we need more general managers, black general managers in these sports, because the black general manager is going to give these black coaches at least 4 to 5 years. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. I have the 5-year plan in sports, and I also use this for business too. The 5-year plan. First year, you're going to have growing pains. And Lord knows that our show had growing pains the first year. Second year, we had some improvement. Now we are going into the third year officially. Third year, we starting to become, a good contender when it comes to awards as far as, sports podcasts and stuff. By that fourth year, okay. Fourth year, the Suns, they should be a championship contender. Well, a playoff contender, excuse me. By that 5th and 6th year, they should be a championship contender with Jordan Alt at the helm. But I'm gonna get back to what Monty Williams had to endure. Monty Williams, he's a good coach. He is, and I'm surprised that he hasn't had another job. Now, 2021, 2022. The Suns, they had a better season. They had a better season than 2020. And in 2023, Monty Williams was also there. But what pretty much got Monty Williams fired was losing in the NBA Finals back in 2021. You're up 2-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks, and you go on to lose 4 straight and basically get swept. It was a gentleman's sweep. And then we get to Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel, he only lasted a year. Hell, if it wasn't for LeBron James, Frank Vogel, he wouldn't be a top coach in the NBA. He wouldn't. And then we get to last year for the Phoenix Suns. Last year, you brought in Mike Budenholzer. He was just shortly fired thereafter. Before coming the Phoenix Suns head coach, he was also the Milwaukee Bucks head coach, and he was fired. Then the Suns, they bring him in, and about 20 games into the season, they realized that nothing has worked out. They realized that nothing worked out, and they didn't even wait until the end of the season. They fired Mike Budenholzer with, I believe, excuse me, wait a minute. They fired Mike Budenholzer immediately after the season, like a day after the season. And then in, I'm going to say August, they hired Jordan Oat. Now, Jordan Oat, he really doesn't have experience in the NBA as a head coach, but in this day and time, companies, and I do mean that companies, they are trying any and everything. If you've been around the NBA for a long time, yeah, they gonna try you out for a head coaching position. And that's with anything. If you've been around something long enough, that is going to be the reason why you get a high position in these companies, or as I like to say, in these sports companies. Because the NBA is a sports company. It's a sports league, it's a sports company, and it is also an LLC. It is. So, the final thing that I'm going to say about the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to go back to their schedule, and I'm going to tell you all how their remaining schedule is. Right out the gate. Right out the gate from All-Star break. The Phoenix Suns, they play not Sacramento, but they face San Antonio right out the gate. Then you face Orlando, which is a young up and coming team. You face Boston, you face the Lakers, you face Sacramento, and then we get to March where you are just facing nothing but teams in the Eastern Conference. You're facing Chicago, you're facing Charlotte. Now, Charlotte, they are surprising a whole lot of people right now because Charlotte, they have a chance to get into the play-in tournament. Then you face Milwaukee. Milwaukee ain't going nowhere. You facing Toronto. You're facing Boston. Minnesota is still out there. San Antonio again. Toronto. You're facing Denver. Denver is still out there. You're facing Houston on April 7th. I believe Houston is a better team than the Phoenix Suns, but I would not be surprised if Phoenix and Houston, they play each other in the first round, because it's looking like it's going to be that way. And then you have Los Angeles to finish out the season, and then you have the Oklahoma City Thunder on the last day of the regular season. So right now, the Phoenix Suns, they are 32-23. And the last time the Phoenix Suns started out 32-23, they made it to the playoffs. And that was just so long ago. That was only 4 years ago. But I'm going to tell y'all something. 4 years is a long time in basketball. A lot of stuff can happen in 4 years. Not just in basketball, but in the world, period. You could have a new president. You could have a new president of a country, a new president of a basketball team, and you could have a new team and expansion team in said conference and said league. Now the NBA, they are expansion talks. They are going to have a team in Las Vegas and a team in Seattle. Phoenix Suns, they are going to have to, as I see them ending the season, I see them winning, I would say 55 to about 57 games. And I don't know how that they are going to win those 55 their remaining games, because when you have Oklahoma on your schedule, San Antonio, you got Denver, you got Houston, you got Minnesota, you got the Lakers. Everybody that's in front of you, the Suns, they have to play them at least 2 times or more. And I can tell you all that I see a couple of losses in the Phoenix Suns' future, because you playing Oklahoma City in Oklahoma, I'm going to just go ahead and mark that off as a loss. You playing San Antonio, it don't matter where San Antonio play. They can always get a win, whether it's at home or on the road. So that's a loss by default. Denver Nuggets, maybe can get a win there. Houston Rockets, maybe can get a win there. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they are a team that is pretty much, not on the outside looking in, but if the Minnesota Timberwolves, if they keep on losing, they are going to be in the play-in tournament and trying to fight their way to get into the playoffs. And the Los Angeles Lakers, they are up and down, and Lakers, they just going to be one of those teams that are just possibly, a first round exit. If they get past the first round, it'll surprise a lot of people. It will. Phoenix Suns. This is a young bunch, so I'm not taking nothing away from the Phoenix Suns, but I don't expect the Phoenix Suns to make a deep playoff run. I just don't. And with that, that is my remaining season outlook for the Phoenix Suns. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports, and Key City Sports on Instagram, and the KeyOnMillions.co. Here is our merchandise, our line. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my media feed so that you can see all of my segments, clips, and sound bites from previous shows. And remember, everybody, one last thing. The key is always on time.